this is Karen Fabian with Bare Bones Yoga, and I'm here to present to you a really short basics yoga video. I got some feedback on my last video that I most recently did that even though I said it was all levels, it really was more of an intermediate practice, and I took that feedback to heart. I think the longer we practice, we can take for granted that concept of the beginner and the beginner's mind. It's great to have a beginner's mind when you approach anything new, especially yoga. It's helpful to have no expectations and to go into it with an open mind, looking for ways to learn. And in the context of yoga, there's much to learn, but there's wonderful benefits too that can be gained. So I'm going to walk you through a very basic yoga practice, a short one with a lot of instruction around the alignment. And you know, I have the skeleton here because I like to bring in some anatomical principles into every practice I teach, every class I teach. And there's just a couple things I want to start with. In our culture today, as we hang over our phones and type and look over the computer, our neck can really get overused, as well as this hunching shape that we're so used to being in. So it's helpful, and you'll see in the skeleton here, the head in that neutral standing position is right up on top of the body. And as well, if we can keep the arms facing forward, the inner arms, the palms facing forward, we'll find that our shoulders just kind of naturally slide down our back. When we stand with our feet at hip-width distance apart, we have more support from a balancing and stability perspective than when our feet are together. You'll notice here there's more width at the hips and less at the feet, so it's a little bit harder to get your footing. So these are just some basic principles that we'll bring into the practice. Wider is steadier, longer is stretchier, shorter is not. Hunching is just reinforcing a lot of what we do all day, and so we want to get more upright. We want to get the head balanced over the body. And it really doesn't matter what position we're in, we want to try to keep just some of these basic things at heart as we move from pose to pose. Certainly some postures are going to ask us to, for instance, take our head back. I can't really think of a lot of postures that ask us to hunch and bring our head down, although maybe somebody out there has one or two that they've thought of. But again, the idea is to try to keep some of these basic principles of just neutral alignment at play, even when we're moving from pose to pose. The other thing I want to bring up is that when we're in a lot of the postures that are presented in many basic classes, like downward facing dog, our hands are facing the ground and we're trying to support our body on our arms. And this can be very hard for people who aren't in, let's say, very good shape, maybe are just getting into yoga, maybe have been injured, maybe are just dealing with a time period where they haven't been exercising and they're trying to build up their strength and endurance. And so I think when we look at some postures that are considered very basic essential postures, they can be very strenuous on someone. I will also add that for someone who might be considered very strong, let's say a bodybuilder or a weightlifter, these kinds of postures as well can put a lot of pressure on the shoulders because there isn't a lot of flexibility there. There's a lot of bulk. So again, it really, on some level, doesn't matter if you're super strong or maybe you haven't been exercising as much as you'd like and you're coming to the mat maybe feeling a little less strong. In both cases, both of those scenarios might present some problems. So I'm going to present you with some of these basic postures, not so much downward dog, but some of the other postures standing up so that we can kind of get a sense of it before we start to link them from the sky to the ground, from standing down and up again. So let's just start with some of the basics. Standing with your feet hip-width distance apart rather than together and coming up towards the front of your mat. Stand up tall, close your eyes, and balance your head over your body. And as you have your eyes closed and therefore you're not looking at the screen of your computer or your phone, just feel where your head is at in space. This ability to be able to notice where your body parts are without using your vision is a wonderful skill. And it's important that we start to hone this skill if we want to create better posture throughout our day. So as you stand here, bring your hands to your heart, take a deep breath in, and a big breath out. All right, we're going to start with just some basic stretches. Reach your arms straight up to the sky. Leave your hands a little bit wider than shoulder width. Lift your gaze up, stretch as tall as you can. Take a breath, and then relax the arms down by the sides. Do it again. Inhale as you reach up. Lift your gaze up. Exhale, push down. We're just working with resistance. Inhale, lift. Inhale, lift the gaze. Exhale, down. And then one more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, hold. All right, now notice here the shoulder blades are lifting up as the arms lift. See if you can bring your arms a little bit closer to your ears. And then lift your gaze and stretch up as you root down into the ground. Take a big breath in, and then hands to your heart. All right, so from here, take your left foot and step it back. And bend your front knee over your heel. And then look at your back foot and turn it slightly inward so that as you press down into your heel, you can turn your upper body to face the front of your mat. And you'll notice here, one of the principles I talked about at the beginning is that the further distance between your front foot and your back, the stretchier the pose, but it's also a little bit more effort. So you can always step your back heel in to create a more upright, steady pose. So once you've picked the length of the base and turn the back foot slightly in, reach your arms up again. All right. You can go wider at the top or bring the arms closer to the head. Lunge your front knee straight ahead and be careful not to let it wiggle in or out. Lift your gaze up, take a breath, and then hands to heart, step up to the front of the mat, back to where you began. Take your other foot back, create the length that you want from heel to heel, and turn your back foot inward until you can comfortably center your body to the front of the mat. Do not bend your back knee. Don't collapse there. Shorten your base until you can get very, very steady without any bend in the back leg. Once you're comfortably centered to the front, extend the arms up. Lift the gaze up too, stretch very tall, and then hands to heart, step up to the front. Sweep your arms up high, and then hands back to heart center. Again, step your left foot back. Find your steady base. Find the turn in of the back foot so you can draw the right hip back. Lunge the front knee directly over the heel. Reach the arms up high. Take a full breath, lift your gaze, and then step up to the front of the mat. Repeat on the other side. Right foot back. Turn the back foot forward slightly. Lunge the left knee straight ahead. Reach the arms up to the sky. Feel them alongside your head, maybe wider than shoulder width. Lift your gaze, take a breath, and then hands to heart, step to the front of the mat. Good. Now, coming into Warrior Two. Step your left foot back, but turn your upper body to the left. Extend the arms front to back, and again, lunging the knee forward, directly forward. Do not let your knee go in or out. Look towards your front hand. Your back foot is turned slightly in, and your heels are pretty much on the same line. Go a little bit lower, take a breath, and then step to the front of the mat. Other side, take your right foot back. Notice I'm working a pretty narrow base, but I could work a little wider if that felt better. My back foot is turned slightly in. My front knee is moving straight ahead. Take the arms out to the side. Feel the head completely neutral right on top of the body, just like we started discussing at the beginning. Take a big breath. On the exhale, step to the front of the mat. All right, from here, feet at hip-width distance apart. Bend your knees and fold. Relax your head, grab your elbows, sway from side to side. Release your hands down to the ground, step back onto your knees. Once you're on your knees, move your hands back so your shoulders are over your wrists. Round your back, look towards your belly button. Release down through your belly button, slowly lift your chin. Round again. And drop the belly down, slowly lift the chin. All right, so now from here, moving into a strengthening posture, plank pose. Shoulders over the wrists, moving the hands a little forward. Tuck the toes, push the heels back, and hold. Get a sense here that you're not just holding yourself up with your arms, you're drawing your belly inward, pushing your heels back. Take a breath, and then drop the knees. Move the hands back under the shoulders, round the back, drop the belly down. Move the hands forward again, tuck the toes, plank pose. Use all of your body, not just your upper body. Draw the belly in, push the heels back, engage your thigh muscles. Take a breath, and then knees down, hands back a little bit, round again, and then lower down through the core. All right, so now from here, coming back into plank, take a breath, and then moving forward, lower all the way to the ground. Slide your hands back a little bit so that your elbows are over your wrists. Give your shoulders a shrug away from your ears. Push down into your hands, push down into your feet, and start to lift your chest. As you come up, your arms are working, but begin to press down into the tops of your feet as well. If you feel very tight through the front of your legs or compression through your lower back, move your hands slightly forward and bend your elbows a little bit, but try not to sag into your neck. Try to push the ground away and add some pressure into the tops of your feet so you're using both the upper and lower bodies. If you can straighten the arms, move to stack the shoulders right over the wrists. Push down into your hands and the tops of the feet, lift up through the crown of the head, and then back to tabletop. From here, plank pose, take an inhale, push forward, lower all the way down. Let the tops of the feet flip so they're flat on the ground. Hug the elbows in. Start to press down and move the hands slightly back. Keep pressing down, keeping the elbows in. Come up to your degree and hold. Take a full breath in and then hands and knees again. Okay, so now bringing the hands forward towards the front of the mat, set your hands up shoulder width distance apart. Lengthen your arms fully and start to sit back towards your heels. Get this sense of drawing the belly inward and letting your hips draw back so the weight on your hands is lessening. And then tuck the toes if they're not already tucked and lift your knees up just a bit. Get that sense of moving your hips back, pushing the ground away, and then come back onto your hands and your knees. Take a breath here and an exhale. All right, now bring the hands forward again, tuck your toes, and see if you can lift up a little bit more, keeping the weight moving back, keeping your chest moving back. Keeping the knees bent, very important. Look towards your feet, press a little more back, and then come back down to your hands and your knees. Take a resting breath here, and a big breath out. All right, so now coming into downward facing dog, bringing the hands forward, shoulder width distance between them, tucking the toes, beginning to lift up a little bit more, and noticing that the further back your feet are, the stretchier it will be, the closer your feet to your hands, not so much, more steady. Keep your knees bent. Do not lock your legs. And as you soften the knees, lift your sitting bones. Lift your hips up to the sky. Take a full breath here and come down to your knees. And now coming up to your feet. Come back to the front of the mat. Reach your arms up and then hands at your heart. Okay, so we're going to put some of these pieces together into a sequence. The important thing is to keep your breath moving, and stay focused. I'll guide you through. Sweep up on the inhale, hands at the heart. Sweep up again, hands at the heart. One more time, inhale up, hands at the heart. From here, bend the knees and fold. Step back to your hands and your knees. Round your back, belly down. Round your back, belly down. Round your back, belly down. Back to a neutral head. Move the hands forward, tucking the toes, plank pose. Holding here. Take a breath. Exhale, knees down. One more time. Lift the knees. Press the heels back. Pull the belly in. Take a full breath. And then knees down. All right, so now keeping the knees down, but noticing the knees are behind the hips. So you're no longer in that steady tabletop shape. The knees are back further behind the hips. Lift your gaze slightly and move forward where you're looking, forward and down to the ground. Lift the heaviness of your shoulders. Move the hands back slightly. Begin to press into the ground and lift up. Come up to your degree using your legs, the tops of the feet, the hands. Take a big breath and then 2 hands and knees. Tucking the toes, slide the hands forward slightly. Begin to move the weight back and then lift the knees up. Let your gaze look back towards your feet. Notice your knees are slightly bent. Keep stretching your sitting bones up to the sky. Take a big breath in and then knees to the ground. Take an inhale and an exhale. Slide the hands forward again. Tuck the toes. Lift up. Set your gaze back. Get the right length for you between your hands and your feet. Take a big breath in and a long breath out. Now look towards your thumbs and walk up towards your thumbs. Come up to standing. Reach up to the sky and then hands at your heart. Coming into Warrior One, step your left foot back, turn it slightly inward, bending the front knee, reach up high. Open your arms, Warrior Two. Spin open to the left. Lift your right arm up and stretch back all the way, and then step up to the front of the mat. Sweep your arms up high, and then hands at heart center. Bring your left foot back. Warrior One, reach up high. Open your arms wide, warrior two pose. Lift your left arm up and stretch back. And then come up to the front of the mat. Sweep your arms up high, hands at heart center. Bend your knees slightly and fold. Set your hands on the ground, step back, plank pose, drop your knees back behind your hips. Lift your gaze, look forward, start moving forward to the ground. Lift the heaviness of your shoulders up, upward facing dog. Push into the ground, lift up. Tucking the toes, lift the hips, keep the knees soft as your gaze shifts back towards your feet. Walk your feet forward up to the front of your mat, keep them hip width apart, reach up to the sky, and hands at heart center. One more time. Inhale, reach. Bend the knees and fold. Set the hands down, step back to plank. Drop the knees behind the hips, look forward, move towards your gaze, forward and down, elbows in. Push into the hands and the feet, lift up, take a breath, tuck the toes, move the hips back, downward facing dog. Walk your feet forward up towards the front of the mat, sweep up to the sky, and hands at your heart. From here, you could take a brief rest, coming down to the ground and resting in Shavasana. I hope you found this video helpful. I'll be adding more videos along the way. If you have any questions or feedback, please comment here or send me an email on my website, barebonesyoga.com. And if you enjoy practicing in exotic places, please check out my website for information about my Healthy Yoga Getaway next May of next year, in Tulum, Mexico. Have a great day. Namaste.